Sonic the Hedgehog has been through a lot of designs, and through that time, there's been a lot of good and bad designs. And so today, we're going to talk about it. Sonic's design throughout the years, beginning with his first design from the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Also, just saying here, this video has some objective details about the models, but it's very subjective since I can't help but share my opinion on these things. Also, I'm a little sick, so if my voice sounds a little nasally, that would be why. Anyway, let's get started. Sonic 1, strangely enough, has multiple designs for the titular Hedgehog. Sure, there's the in-game sprite and box art, which, if you couldn't tell, are very different. But there's also multiple box arts, depending on the region the game was sold in. Japan was great, America was gross, Europe was confused. Europe most of the time reused either the Japanese or American box arts, but with a little spice thrown in. So please keep that in mind. If I ever don't mention the European box art, it's probably because it's a rehash of the Japanese or the American design. The Japanese box art looks really cool in my opinion. He's got this slick, clean look to him, and his quills aren't terribly detailed. So those of you who think he looks fluffy, or those of you who think he looks spiky, are both validated in your thoughts. His index finger may be a little long and lopsided, but it's hard to notice when the rest of him looks absolutely perfect. And then America walked into the room. This sucks. The tan is much too dark. And I get that the spikes are supposed to look like a mohawk, but it just looks bootleg. The quills protrude at an angle instead of matching the roundness of Sonic's Japanese design. Not to mention the quills are much smaller than the Japanese look. His ears are much bigger, he's really shiny for some reason. He's got this weird eyebrow look that may be what he has later in the franchise, but here it looks gross. I don't know, he's just freaky looking. They were trying to appeal to the American market, which won't be the first time we see this happen. As for the sprite, I mean, it's iconic. His big hot dog shoes, his ginormous head, it all just completes the look. I'd like to point out how expressive his eyes can get. I really enjoy how well they sell his rad, too cool for school personality, as well as all the other emotions he feels. Mainly determination, but he can also feel other things too. Like drowning. No!
On to Sonic 2.
The Sonic 2 box arts are relatively the same, but with some minor differences that help bring the design closer to protection. In the script I wrote protection. But with some minor differences that help bring the design closer to perfection. For Japan, at least. He's much more blue, and his tail is much more narrow than the first game, but he still looks pretty amazing. As for America,
we're doing a sequel.
Yup, that's still the same design, just mirror flipped. He is much more blue, like the Japanese Sonic, but instead it's a darker blue, almost like a deep ocean. Also, his legs look really short. I can't explain it. In Europe they use the American design, but brighten him up and add this thick outline on him. It isn't bad, just very different. His in-game sprite is, just like the box art, much more blue, but basically the same. And that's all I have to say about Sonic. But this time we get Super Sonic to look at. Ooh, he's fine. It's just Sonic, but yellow and with upper spikes. Next. Sonic CD's box art is a lot different. He isn't just standing there. Woo. The American design isn't horrible, but it still is a little funky. I mean, what is this pose? It isn't horrible, but it isn't the best. Japan has what I think to be the best classic Sonic has been depicted. So far, I mean. It's the Japanese design in this really dynamic pose. It's super cool, which is why it's my favorite. Again, so far. His in-game model is literally just Sonic 1. How anticlimactic. The animated opening is pretty sweet though. He's got this too cool for school attitude, and is one of the only times they gave him that attitude without having it go overboard like in the 90s show. It's really sad, honestly. Speaking of those old 90s shows, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the show, not the game, and Sonic Underground all have a similar look to Sonic. It's just the American design, but animated. And they took all these things I don't like about the American design and bump it up to 11. It's fine, not the best, but I just wish it was the Japanese design. Oh well. Like I said earlier, they were really trying to make you believe he's cool. And they do that by giving him basic cool tropes and the cool poses, which aren't cool, they're just fine. Around this time, the Archie Sonics began to emerge, and these comics had a variety of art styles. Some good, some great, others that make me want to rip my eyes out. They had some substance to them at the beginning, but as the comics go on, it picks up an art style that I really grew attached to. Sad to see this comic ended, but it did give way to the IDW comics. We had to give away the good for the great. Unless you don't like the IDW comics. Boo-hoo. I don't know. Moving back to the games, Sonic 3, where we have the high highs and some low lows. The Japanese design has the best design for Sonic of the 3 regions, and him throwing up the number 3 fits so well. I don't get why he's using his thumb, but it's fine, I guess. In America, we got... So that's why Japan used his thumb for the 3. His hand is just way too clustered. It looks super fat. His smile is also a lot sharper than the others, but on the positive side, his legs aren't short. Cool. Europe is just doing its thing. What the heck is happening here? Sonic has 4 fingers out instead of 3, so it looks like Sonic 4 instead of Sonic 3, and we know we don't want that. For Sonic and Knuckles, the art takes a massive upturn in quality. Japan has this minimalistic take on Sonic and Knuckles, and it just overall looks great. The Sonic 3 and Knuckles title screens are pretty gross. I just don't like it. Also, before anyone out there loses their crap about this, I'm covering the Sonic games I think are most important. AKA, I'm covering the games I want to. Leave me alone. So don't get all up in arms if I don't cover Sonic Spinball, okay? Sonic Triple Trouble has this striking pose for the American box art, and though it still has the worst parts about the American design, the pose makes up for almost everything. Plus, the eyes are a little smaller than the other box art, giving him that rad look he's been striving for since day one. Japan's art is fine, not bad, but not better than the American design. Am I going crazy? His sprite is the main reason I wanted to bring this game into the list. It's 8-bit, yeah, but the amount of detail and personality they squeeze into this little sprite is fantastic, especially since it can be... much worse. The Sonic OVA, the first Sonic movie, but not really a Sonic movie, gives Sonic a similar design to how he looks in the CD opening, but now in a full-length movie. Haven't people been asking for this for years? It's been here since 1996, guys. Calm down. Sonic is a little taller and smiles a little more, but those aren't detractors, just things I've noticed. OVA Sonic is still great. Sonic 3D Blast kicks off with an American design much more akin to the Japanese look. It honestly isn't half bad. The pose reminds me of the Japanese Sonic CD art. Almost exactly. The Japanese art is just amazing. This stellar pose, the longer limbs, the winking eye. Why isn't he winking with his eyelid? The design is very reminiscent of the Yuji Okawa art pieces, which makes sense, since this game was released after Sonic Adventure in Japan. Who knew? The European art is...
Oh no! Oh no! 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 Oh god! No! No! No!
Need I say more? His in-game model is, like I've been saying, fine. Not fun, or bad, or even nice to look at. Just fine. There's nothing special about Sonic R's box art, besides the fact that it translated the Japanese Sonic into 3D the best. As for his in-game model, oh yeah. There's no way you can mix up this Sonic with any other model. His quills are straight up, well, straight, and he's very blocky. It's really nice. Definitely up there in terms of my favorite Sonic model. Sonic Adventure's box art is very dynamic, with much longer limbs and the introduction of Sonic's green eyes. That wide grin and exaggerated pose just worms its way into your heart. How can you not like it? Yukawa knocks it out of the park. His model does a very good job of bringing the Japanese design look to life. His portions are absolutely perfect, and the low poly count just adds to the charm. And that's exemplified in his supersonic look. He's got charm and coolness, it's just great. The Adventure DX cover is a little gross, honestly. His model is very shiny and lumpy, caused by the eyebrows, which just don't do Sonic justice here. His revamped Adventure model is pretty different from the original model. I mean, obviously, he's much taller, with longer limbs, and a bigger head. His shoes are incredibly detailed, and are shaped like an actual pair of shoes. His tan fur, or is it skin? I don't know, is much darker, almost like they combined the American classic artwork with the Yuji Okawa artwork. And you know what? I don't hate it. As to which one I prefer more, I don't. Both do so well at different things. I think it just depends on what you're going for. DX's Supersonic is much shinier, and again, I don't prefer one over the other. Before we move on to Sonic Adventure 2, I just wanted to squeeze in my thoughts on Sonic Shuffle. The cover is fine, but what I really wanted to say was the cell shading in the actual game is really cool and unique. It's just the adventure model, but with cell shading. I wish Sonic Team did more things like this. Branch out to newer, more unique styles we rarely see, and not just the in-game models, but in the general art direction. Like in Sonic Force, that is not a joke. The Sonic Adventure 2 artwork freaking rocks! This pose looks like he's grinding on a rail, and I am all for it. It works perfectly with Shadow's pose. Just icons being icons over here, no need to worry. His model is even better. You can see the designers getting closer and closer to matching the in-game models and the box art. His limbs and body look more streamlined than Adventure 1, almost like a combining of the two Adventure 1 models, which I don't hate either. This has to be the best Sonic model we've seen yet. Same with the Super Sonic model. It is shiny in all the right ways. Unlike the earlier artworks from Sonic 1 and 2, him being shiny makes a lot of sense, since they're trying to make him gold instead of just yellow, and I like it. Sonic Heroes, the game that sure does exist. I don't know. This game just flies under the radar for me. The cover art has Sonic in this very fun pose, and you can see them refining his design to the one we know today. He's still pretty short, but the blue is lighter than Adventure 2, and his smile is one of the best we've seen so far. In-game, his model is pretty much the same as the cover, aside from some finer details, and I like this a lot. It's slick, clean, and other positive attributes. His Super Sonic model, it's too shiny for my liking. It's just not great. Moving on. Sonic Advanced 1, 2, and 3 are all so similar that I'm just gonna lump them in here as one entity. The box art rocks that Yukawa look, and though 2 doesn't look the best, it isn't terrible. Far from it, it's still pretty good, just not the greatest like 1 and 3. The sprite work for Sonic is by far my favorite of all the sprites, like ever. It takes the Yukawa art and turns it into pixel art, and it is amazing. I love the striking running poses. Every frame just has so much personality, it's great. Super Sonic is amazing, and really shines in bringing out the cool aspects of Sonic the Hedgehog. It is the perfect combining of modern Sonic in a classic game. Sonic Rush's box art is more Yukawa art, and it's pretty cool. I'm having less and less to say about these box arts. His model reminds me a lot of the original Sonic Adventure model, and it fits almost perfectly here. Since it's on a DS, they can't go all out for his model, but what they do here is just the best. That's it. I just like it. Like normal Sonic, Super Sonic reminds me of Sonic Adventure, and again, not in a bad way. They redid what worked, and that's fine. Though I wish they did try something new. Oh, and the same can be applied to Sonic Rush Adventure. They're basically the same. Sonic X answers the question, what if the box art was an anime? And it's pretty nice. Dynamic poses, eyebrows that don't look abhorrent, it all just comes together very well. Super Sonic looks great, Dark Super Sonic, I think that's what he's called. Let me look it up. Dark Sonic, his name is Dark Sonic. Dark Sonic looks pretty good too. Everything just looks great. Though this was around the time when this artwork basically defined Sonic the Hedgehog. And though it isn't bad, I am becoming a little tired of it. Again, it isn't bad. Not by a long shot. I just want something a little more different, you know? Maybe something that can stand out in a crowd, like the Sonic R or Shuffle models. Oh no. This is not what I meant. The box art isn't half bad. I actually really like it. I haven't brought up the cutscenes in any of the games yet, but the cutscenes just put him in some really striking poses. When they're not motion capturing, at least. As for the base model, yeah, it's really nice. I love the longer quills, the lankier limbs. This is the epitome of the Yuji Yukawa art coming to 3D in the best way possible. It kind of reminds me of the Sonic Adventure DX model. Not in a negative sense, but just a, you're right, kind of way. Super Sonic here is just bad. The gold where the tan is just doesn't do the character justice. He looks like a gold blob. I really don't like it. It just isn't good. Sonic Unleashed, the beginning of the end. From here on out, you'll see Sonic not change much, and by proxy, you'll see me struggle to point out differences, though I will do my best to. I make no promises though. The box art shows a nice blend of Hedgehog Sonic and, Sonic. By the way, I'm sure you know this, but I'll tell you anyway. The term were just means human, so Werehog just means a mixture of human and hedgehog. Okay, I'm moving on to the model. It's pretty good. I've become very desensitized to it, since it's been basically the same since 2008. Oh my goodness, this model is over 15 years old. They've shortened his quills from 06 and made his blue a lighter blue. The Werehog is pretty cool. He's got these spiked shoes that fit him perfectly, and these tufts of fur around his wrists work really well. The dull teal color is a bit peculiar, but it isn't terrible. I would have preferred gray though. In this game, Super Sonic is the perfect amount of shiny, in my opinion. It's not too overpowering, but it's enough to see that this is a special form for Sonic to take. Sonic and the Black Knight gives Sonic a glove and a sword. Cool. It's a detail that separates him from Unleashed, and they need to do this because he looks so close to that model. It looks like Sonic is a slightly darker blue, but that could be the lighting. Maybe his quills are a bit shorter, but that could just be the angle. And that's about it. The 2D art is pretty sweet though. We get these PowerPoint looking art pieces that make up the story. It looks less like Yukawa art and more like a stylistic take on the in-game model, and it's pretty cool. Difference is nice, especially when both styles look excellent. Excalibur Sonic looks really clean. He's got this red waist cape that adds a personality that the suit would lack without it. It helps break up the pure gold design. Wait, what's that? I skipped Sonic and the Secret Rings? Yeah, that was intentional. I'm not sorry. I don't want to cover it. I just don't want to, okay? Please don't make me. Please. Please! Sonic and the Secret Rings has the Unleashed model with very little changes. Wow, what a shocker. Darkseid Sonic is spectacular though. He's got these racing stripes on him and rocks this purple color, and if you know me, I love me some purple. Those golden rings around his wrists and ankles break up the purple hands and arms. Wait, why are his hands purple? And around his legs and shoes. You know, I'm beginning to realize that there may be too much purple here. Sonic 4. Boo. It's the exact same model, just posed absolutely horribly. Same with episode 2. They both just suck. I hate it. Moving on. Sonic Colors has a pose for Sonic that works just fine, honestly. Nothing special or unique, nothing that makes me go, wow! I think it's because of the Unleashed model being reused once again. My only problem is, in-game, and especially the cutscenes, Sonic looks really washed out. Like they just took a bright flashlight and went,
think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
It does not look good in the slightest. I have nothing else to say about this model, other than the blue is way too light. It needs to be that royal blue instead of this washed out sky blue. Up next is Sonic Generations, and this isn't as bad as Sonic Colors. Not nearly as bad. Sonic still looks washed out, but it's not the Sonic you're thinking of. Classic Sonic has finally joined the ranks, and he's this washed out blue, so that there's visual differences between classic and modern Sonic. Doesn't mean I like it. Classic Sonic takes after the Japanese design, and I'm not too partial of this version of Classic Sonic in 3D. If they took cues from Sonic CD about his attitude and design, I'd be more partial to this version of Classic Sonic. But, unfortunately, this just doesn't do it for me. Modern Sonic looks virtually the same, maybe with some longer quills. Man, why do they keep changing the length of these quills? But that's it. Super Sonic and Classic Super Sonic are both fine. Nothing too important to write home about. Just, they're there. This video has slowly turned sad, and I don't like it. Sonic Dash is a mix of ugly and fine posing. I'm telling you, it's Sonic 4 all over again. It's the same model. I'm done with this game. Mainly because I don't want to cover all 7,000 Sonics that appear in this game. Okay? Okay. Sonic Lost World uses a model that is very similar to the Generations model. Maybe the tan is a little lighter, but that's about it. His posing very much so reflects the parkour aspects of this game. It's not bad posing, but not as striking as the other poses we've seen him in, which slowly becomes a huge problem, but we get there when we get there. And now it is time for one of the biggest changes yet, if not of all time, Sonic Boom.
Look, ramps!
We can use these as ramps.
Did anyone else just hear that?
It makes sense that this Sonic looks different from modern Sonic, and maybe that isn't a bad thing. To appeal to the American people, they covered Sonic & Co. in sports bandages. He also has a bandana, longer limbs, a smaller head, blue arms, and also has some extra quills sticking out, almost like he has messier hair than the Sonic we know, which helps to sell his lazier, more sarcastic attitude.
I'm not wearing pants.
Sonic and his friends were also given these wristband things that don't really matter. I like the look of this design a lot. It comes off like the Sonic 06 redesign, a modern design that tries to make animating easier and more dynamic, which we can see happen in-game. He's got smoother and bouncier animations, which are so much better than the cutscene coming out around this time for modern Sonic. The TV show has promo art with a model that is basically identical to the game model, but in the show, the model has some slight differences. As for the comics, well, it's basically the Archie design for Sonic. The later design, not the earlier ones, just with more cartoony poses. Again, I really like this look for Sonic, though I get if you don't. It's a whole different vibe from what Sonic was imagined as. And it's fine if you don't like it. I'm just partial to the goofier side of Sonic as well as the cooler side of Sonic. Next up is a mobile game I'll actually look at, Sonic Runners, only because of one specific thing. The characters have a very thick outline on them, helping you see them better in the chaos of the level design. They're also a lot shorter, bringing the classic proportions to the modern designs. There aren't many Sonic Runners videos out there, so if you want to learn more about this little known game, then I'd recommend Patmec's video as well as Lennox's video, link in the iCard or in the description. Around this time, LEGO Dimensions released, which included Sonic the Hedgehog in its second year on the market. Sonic was translated fantastically to LEGO, taking his modern design and converting that into one of, if not the most well-known LEGO Dimensions character. Since he's made of LEGO, he's got this LEGO shine to him, one of the only times it ever actually makes sense. Overall, he's a great translation of the Blue Blur, and I really do wish I had this figure in my collection. Actually, I do have him! I recently bought LEGO Dimensions for the PS4, and I also decided to pick up a copy of LEGO Sonic. Put him on his stand here. This is a figure that I've always wanted as a kid, so now to be able to actually hold him in my hands, the first LEGO Sonic figure ever made it's so surreal. His eyes are a bit small, and the tan is just way too dark in my opinion, at least when compared to his newer versions. But the paint job is fantastic, except on the eyes it looks a bit washed out, and they're... Okay, so maybe the paint isn't actually that great. Besides, you're a lot more focused on Sonic in the game, so him looking like this, it's kind of excusable. Comparing him to his newer version, well, it's night and day here. The paint job is a lot better on the newer figure, and that shape is a lot more accurate to what he looks like in-game. Plus, the newer Sonic has side leg printing, which the other Sonic does lack. The newer version is just overall better when compared to the original classic LEGO Modern Sonic, something like that, I don't know. But something that I did want to point out was the fact that both Sonics have dual molded legs, but the newer one has red, since I'm assuming it's easier to see the white on. But the first iteration has dual molded legs with white at the bottom. And I think that's just because maybe white was harder to print, only because the printing is a little shoddy in some places. The tans are also different color. I think the newer iteration is a much better tan than this color. Honestly, it looks kind of bootleg. Now, there was a version of classic Sonic in LEGO form, but I'm not gonna look into that right now because I'm in the middle of a big move and I have no idea where that figure is. All I'll say is his eyes are different and more far apart, and his tum-tum is just a circle. Different from these, but that's fine because it's classic Sonic, and I do like that version of LEGO Sonic too. Now let's just rank these guys real quick, just why not? Well, yeah, Modern Sonic is the first one, and then we have Classic Sonic, Classic LEGO Sonic in the second tier, and then the third tier is LEGO Dimensions Sonic. All of them look great, especially for their time, especially that one. That's a great figure. But yeah, the newer figures are definitely better. I do want to talk about LEGO Sonic in the future, considering I love both Sonic and LEGOs, so let me know if that's something you'd want to see in the future on my channel. Also, I have a LEGO channel. You should go subscribe to that. Sonic Mania, another classic inclusion to the series, and one of my personal favorites. On the cover for the game, Sonic looks incredibly similar to his Japanese style, but with the edges cleaned up. He's got a smaller finger, slightly longer eyes, and belt buckles on his shoes. The animated cutscenes very obviously take from the Sonic CD cutscene design, and tweak it a bit to match classic Sonic from Generations. In-game, Yeah, that's pretty different. Even when looking at the other classic games, Sonic really pops out here. They've swapped back to his Sonic 2 design, which we can see in the shine of Sonic's forehead, but it combines aspects of all the classic Sonic sprites. Defined fists, noticeable shading, a more narrow middle quill. It's a hodgepodge of the other classic looks for Sonic, and it just works in all the best ways possible. Super Sonic is a little different. He takes from his Sonic 2 design, but his lowest quill is a little thicker than it was in Sonic 2, which helps make it seem more defined and there. The shading on his far quill looks a little different too. It helps to sell the idea that it isn't just messy hair day, but instead it's Sonic's quills pointing up and out. After that is Sonic Forces. Lovely. The posing isn't horrendous. It's better than Lost World, but not as good as it has been, or could be. What is a problem is Sonic himself. His quills were shortened yet again, and both the tan and blue were changed, the tan being a hint darker and the blue substantially brighter. At this point, I'm just sick of this model. It's gross, it's boring now. If posed correctly, he can look great, but the problem is, he isn't, leaving him looking like a washed down, void of any substance Hedgehog. Classic Sonic is the weirdest here. On the box art, he's a darker shade of blue. The same as modern Sonic, actually. Matter of fact, modern Sonic is much darker than he is in the actual game. What happened here? Why is Sonic a whole different color? In-game, his model has a darker color for his tan proportions, giving him this uncanny look, where he's too light and too dark at the same time. Super Sonic is the exact same as he was in Generations. Makes sense, since he doesn't even appear in the main game.
Money.
What a waste of such a cool game. It had so much potential. From here we step away from the games for a little bit and talk about the movies, where Sonic gets this completely redone design that will wow the world. With how ugly it can be. Where do I even begin here? These human proportions just don't work for Sonic. His torso looks way too long, and those hands, man. Ugh. The nose is too realistic. The eyes are too small, but his irises and pupils are ginormous. The teeth are super realistic, his chest fur is white for some reason, with his muzzle being not too far behind. He's just generally disgusting to look at. His redesign looks so much better, but has some pretty big changes, both the ugly Sonic and Game Sonic. His feet, head, and hands were made smaller than his game counterpart, and they got rid of basically everything from ugly Sonic, all except for his two eyes. His tan is much more washed out, his head is a lot shorter, his shoes got a Puma makeover. Everything about this version of Sonic is different enough to stand out in a crowd, but close enough to Game Sonic to see the similarities between the two. One notable difference is this fluffy fur texture on Sonic, which can either be big spiky quills or soft fur. It varies on where you look. The fur is everywhere, but the quills are only in his head. Oh, and his arms are blue. Insert wacky rant here. The posing is alright, and that remains all throughout the movie franchise. What can I say? Except for this model being a great Sonic model for a live-action movie. Is it the best? No. Could it be better? Absolutely. But does it suffice? Yeah, it does. Sonic 2 changes things up a little bit, with what I can now only guess to be the lighting painting Sonic in this duller blue. In promotional pictures and posters, he's still that bright blue, probably because the lighting is more favorable here. There's also the steady rise in these noticeable eyebrow wrinkles. Kinda gross, but not bad. Yet. The Sonic 2 movie tie-in comic draws Sonic absolutely perfectly. It combines the poses from the IDW comics, which is fantastic by the way, with the movie design. His emotions bleed out of the pages, and it really shows how this model of Sonic can work really well. Drone Home, the short taking place after Sonic 2, has a really nice model. I think it's the same for movie 2, but with the lighting putting him in this really nice blue color. It's super vibrant, maybe a little too vibrant, but I prefer this over Sonic that looks like he's aged about 50 years. In the Knuckles show, he's a brighter blue, not unlike Drone Home, except for the fact that his forehead wrinkles are more than present, and I really don't like them here. Other than that, he's pretty much the same. Sonic 3 has him a bit all over the place. Sometimes he's blue, sometimes he's vibrant, sometimes he's this weird teal color. It's a little weird. I mentioned the IDW comics before, and now we get to delve headfirst into them. The comics have a multitude of artists working on them, but I'll do my best to summarize the look. They really exaggerate his poses, which works really well for him. His whole thing is that he has a strong personality, so strong posing fits him very well. The rest of his design is up to the interpretation of the artist. Thick outlines, cartoony looks, almost game accurate art. It's all over the place. But most of these designs are fantastic. They're all so unique and different, yet it's believable it's the same Sonic from 1 issue ago, 5 issues ago, 10 issues ago. Now that that's been said, let's move on to the best Sonic game ever, Sonic Speed Simulator. Sonic Speed Simulator is a Roblox game, or something, I don't know, I've never played it. I am bringing it up though, because it's slightly different from the Forces model. In promotional art, his head looks a bit stretched vertically. He also has a semi-glossy texture, and absolutely ginormous eyes. In-game, he looks fine. It honestly reminds me of the DX model, just a bit brighter. On September 1st, 2024, we would get our first look at the Sonic x DC crossover, but it wouldn't be until 3 days later, on September 24th, that we would get our first look at Sonic in this new crossover. With the Justice League missing, Sonic and his friends have to step into the roles of the MIA members, with Sonic stepping into the fast-moving shoes of the Flash. His suit? I mean, it certainly exists. Okay, I don't like it. I'm sure you have heard about how superhero costumes have all sorts of random lines, and this suit is no different. I get that different Flash suits can have lines on them, depending on the iteration, but I'm a guy that prefers his Flash costume without any lines. Yellow lines aside, it's a pretty good adaptation of a Sonic Flash costume, and it helps when a Flash costume doesn't have much to adapt. I didn't realize that a pure red Sonic design could look so good. I like how every little detail was integrated into the Sonic suit, including the bolts on the side of the head, now a part of Sonic's ears. Overall, not a bad suit. Considering the mashup of worlds and vastly different artistic interpretations here, everything looks pretty good. Both Sonic, Flash Sonic, and Super Sonic. The posing also looks great. Lots of favorites here, namely Sonic taking on the Reverse Flash, proving his worth as the fastest thing alive. Do I have to talk about Sonic Origins? It's just Sonic Mania, but the classic games. I'm only mentioning it so you people in the comments don't lose your mind and go, "Oh, you didn't mention this thing, CJ." Okay? Okay. The penultimate mainline Sonic game to date, that isn't starring Shadow the Hedgehog, is Sonic Frontiers. And everybody together now, this is just a rehash of the Unleashed model, but taken to hell and back. The promotional art is pretty good. Nothing to write home about, but good nonetheless. In-game is a whole other beast. If he isn't breaking it down for you, Mark, then he's stiff and generally a menace to society because of how boring he is in everything except for the promotional art.
Look at that rotisserie chicken spin.
He has some fun facial expressions, but it's also sporadic and random, spliced between clips of Sonic just standing there. I know cutscenes aren't technically part of design, but I haven't talked about Frontiers yet. Let me have this. His blue looks a lot deeper than from Forces, which I very much so appreciate. But his quills are still super short. He looks like Scourge when he's arrested in the Archie comics. Super Sonic looks fine, nothing too clever here. Super Sonic 2, however, is when things start to pick up. All they do is give him some blue eyes and a little bit of a blue hue, but beyond that, he's exactly the same as Super Sonic. But the thing is, they pose this man like there's no tomorrow. Just look at that over-the-shoulder stare. This is the best Sonic has looked all game. Cyber Sonic looks fantastic as well. He's covered in glitches and has this spiral eyes and sharp teeth that give off massive Fleetway Supersonic vibes. It's just overall great. After Frontiers is Sonic Prime, a train wreck of a show, but thankfully we aren't talking about the show, just Sonic himself. His quills are much longer than Game Sonic's. His limbs are much longer as well, and his torso is more akin to Classic Sonic. His head is ginormous. Same with his hands and feet. His fur has this spiky look to it. It adds a lot of detail to him. Also, a fun detail I love is whenever Sonic goes top speed, his legs turn into a figure 8, showing he has no trouble gliding across mountains, streets, or water. As he travels dimensions, his shoes and gloves will change depending on what dimension he goes into. Egg City has a track shoe look that gives Sonic some sports gloves. Boss Cage Maze Sonic has gloves and shoes with a camo wrap, and this fingerless look that just changes fabric instead of being fingerless, but I guess that's for the best.
Creepy blue hands!
The gloves and shoes also have these Wolverine claws that allow Sonic to climb trees and dig, I guess. No Play Sonic has a brown base color with light brown and yellow accents. And they act as hover shoes to allow Sonic to run on water. And finally, in the Grim, Sonic gets these dull purple shoes that look like gemstones. And I personally like this look. Prismatic Sonic gives him this purple glitched effect, turning his fur an indigo color and his eyes a bright violet. He looks very good. Weird. I thought the Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog came out before Frontiers did. I guess I was wrong. In the visual novel, Sonic wears what I think is a sailor outfit? I don't know, but this is Sonic in all his 2D glory, and it's pretty good. Since it's a visual novel, you'll mostly see him in the static poses, but that shouldn't be a detractor. He still looks nice. It's just the 2D Sonic rule. He has to be drawn in an appealing manner, no exceptions. Sonic Superstars is just more Generations Sonic. I was fine with him in Generations and Forces, look-wise I mean. But in a 2D Sonic game, I don't know, he just doesn't look very good to me. Everything is basically the same, except his quills are a little shorter, and that just never sat well with me. I haven't been mentioning this yet, but around this time on Sonic's official social media, they've been uploading these anniversary pictures, and they started out pretty rough, not gonna lie. But as time went on, they got really nice. Sonic looks really great in some of these, most notably the 34th anniversary. I have really high hopes for what Sonic is gonna look like in the future. And thankfully, Sonic Dream Team doesn't let me down.
I'm gonna come find you.
Sonic in Dream Team looks a lot like the Speed Simulator Sonic, but besides his large eyes, I kinda like it. The posing, the blue, the quills, the proportions, it's all so perfect. It's like a combination of what worked best in all the previous Sonic models. And the eyes from Rumble, for some reason. They even used the fur texture from Sonic Prime in the promotional art, which helps this model really stand out to me. But they just had to go back to the Frontiers model in Sonic Crossworlds? Really? You just had to spoil my mood? And that was a semi-in-depth look at the Sonic designs throughout the years. Semi, because I didn't cover everything, but enough to make what was supposed to be a short video longer than I would have thought. However, I did think that this would be a serviceable way to celebrate Sonic's 35th anniversary. Sonic, happy 35 years. Can't wait to see you do this till you're 90.
They're gonna make him do this till he's 90.
Also, I just wanted to announce that this channel has finally had its first collab with another YouTuber. I appear a couple of times in Lennox's ranking every Sonic level ever video. Go check it out and let Lennox know who sent you in the comments of that video. I'll have that video in the iCard, the description, and the end card, so that way it's easy for you guys to find. And I hope you like it. Anyways, thanks for sticking around in this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and God bless.